Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of TCS Student News. I'm your host Claude, here with my co-host
Sara.
Let's get right into the news.
First, we are moving to the war-torn country of Yemen. Yemen's warring sides are holding face-to-face discussions over a planned prisoner swap, which is one of several measures aimed at ending more than 3 years of war that has ravaged the impoverished country. Since talks began last week, United Nations officials have been going between delegations from Yemen's government and the Houthi rebels. However, on Sunday, officials from the Yemeni government said despite an impasse over the port of Hodeidah, a breakthrough over the release of prisoners was about to be reached following the direct talks. Houthis were also expected to release several high-ranking commanders within the Yemeni army, including the former Minister of Defense and relatives of President Hadi. Peace talks are still underway now.
Moving to the Sea of Azov, the Kremlin launched a year-long campaign to soften public opinion before it captured 3 Ukrainian ships and their crews in the Sea of Azov, the EU's Security Commissioner Julian King has alleged. He said Russia had paved the way for its decision to fire on and board 2 artillery ships and a tugboat through the spread of fake news. The false claims, said to have been spread for more than a year, included that Ukraine had infected the sea with cholera and that its secret services had been trying to transport a nuclear bomb to occupy Crimea. If you thought that incident came out of nowhere, you would be wrong, King told an audience in Brussels. The disinformation campaign began much earlier, more than a year ago, when Russian media started pushing claims that the authorities in Kiev were dredging the seabed in the Sea of Azov in preparation for a NATO fleet to take up residence. King said none of the claims spread ahead of the seizure were true. The allegations over the U.S. plan to spark clashes were based on a video game a former Russian soldier claimed to have seen 15 years ago. Seeing what King has said, this shows more evidence of Russian influence through the use of fake news.
Previously, the Great Barrier Reef suffered a great deal of a phenomenon called coral bleaching. Bleaching happens when coral effectively gets cooked by seawater, forcing the delicate algae that live inside the coral's colorful skeleton to flee. A study published Monday suggests that the massive structure may be growing more tolerant to climate change. During the first event, almost 30% of the reef died, but the second event last year, which saw seas even hotter than 2016 in many places, didn't harm the reef as badly as they expected. Scientists speculated that the structure may be going through a forced evolution that has helped toughen it. Bleached corals aren't dead and can recover if the ocean temperatures return to normal, but prolonged periods of hot water can kill them and devastate entire reefs. Scientists have warned that the world must limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels if the planet hopes to survive the worst effects of climate change. This, however, looks very unlikely.
Switching over to dementia, drinking a glass of orange juice daily could greatly lower someone's risk of getting dementia. This study tracked nearly 28,000 U.S. men over their consumption of fruits and vegetables from 1986 to 2002 and suggestive cognitive function for nearly 3 decades. The mean age of men when data was first collected was 51 years. The study found that men who drank a small glass of orange juice per day were 47% less likely to develop poor thinking skills than those who drank less than 1 serving per month. It also found that men who ate more vegetables were 34% less likely to report having experienced a loss in memory. Fruits and vegetables are rich in vitamins and nutrients, including antioxidants that can help protect the brain, said Hannah Gardner, a researcher at the University of Miami. One of the most important factors in this study is that we were able to research and track such a large group of men over a 20-year period of time, allowing for very telling results, said Chang Zhang Yang, the study's lead author. Dementia refers to symptoms associated with a loss in memory or other thinking skills that are severe enough to lower someone's ability to perform everyday activities. It is estimated that 46.8 million people live with dementia in 2015 worldwide, and the number will rise to 131.5 million by 2050. If these studies shows anything, it's that an orange a day keeps dementia away.
Now for some TCS news. Today, one of our school family members is having a very important and delicate operation. Aiden was diagnosed with pectus excavatum, which causes the sternum to cave inward, putting pressure on the lungs and eventually the heart. They will be placing a metal rod inside of his chest to push his sternum outward as he grows. We all hope the surgery is a success and that he will make a full and great recovery. We will miss you, Aiden, and we can't wait for your return.
Going back to last Thursday, the school had its 3rd sponsor meeting for the year. For this meeting, we discussed important events that are going to take place soon, such as the open house and the Nutcracker on December 18th, trips to DC and Annapolis in January, and a trip to Advanced Business Systems. We also congratulated students on their achievements in the school. Sara, Aiden, and I managed to make honor roll in the school. Sean, Olivia, Donald, Ronan, Jordan, Hannah, Jacob, and Tylea all have met or exceeded TCS standards. Donald, Jacob, Ronan, Sean, Cameron, Olivia, Jordan, Aiden, Nina, Salma, and I have not missed a single day of school. This sponsor meeting was one not to miss, and was very unfortunate that some sponsors could not make it. The next sponsor meeting will be held in March, after the second trimester. We hope to see everybody there.
Now, I would like to recognize two very hardworking men. They work countless hours to make sure we students have everything we need. If you guessed Mr. Tom and Mr. Noah, then you're correct. They both work hard to make lesson plans, teach class, answer our questions, and anything else that is needed to keep the school running. Both of them get up every day and come to school with a positive attitude, ready to greet us students. On behalf of the students of the school, I would like to say to you both, thank you so much for everything you do. We love you being our teachers, and we love being your students. Thank you for everything you do to help give us students a bright and happy future.
Last Friday, we had a conversation with each other on a book we all read. The book was called Dear Martin. It had a great message and a great story. While discussing the book, most of the students shared deep and personal things about themselves. We all had a crying session for the time. It was an extremely deep and emotional conversation with, probably being both the best and most important one we will have all year.
On Tuesday, Miss Karen and Mr. Eric came and taught us about the Nutcracker, ballet, and a little bit of music. We watched the first act of the Nutcracker, and once that was over, we all talked about what happened and a little bit about the history. Mr. Eric then spoke to us about some of the music that was and will be in the play. Also, we got to see one of our classmates, Olivia, play some guitar on Mr. Eric's acoustic. We can't wait to see the second act on Tuesday, December 18th, at the Baltimore School of Ballet. Thank you so much, Miss Karen and Mr. Eric, for coming and talking to us about the play.
We would like to thank all the people who donated a lunch this week for the school. We would like to thank Miss Lisa, Miss Peg, Miss Sandy, and Miss Mary Louise. We will also like to give a big thanks to Mimi and Poppy for not only donating the lunch, but also donating many items for the pantry, like oranges and flavored waters. You are all a big part in the school, and much love goes to each and every one of you.
On Wednesday, some of the students went to the Northwood Library branch to meet with the author Nic Stone. We listened to her speak about how she got the idea for the book and why she wrote it. After she spoke about how she wrote it for her two sons, we went on to the question and answer part of the evening. During this, she answered questions about the writing itself and the characters. She also said that she was releasing a sequel of the book, Dear Martin, which is called Dear Justice. Thank you, Mr. Tom and Mr. Noah, for taking us to the library to meet with her.
Well, that wrapped this week's edition of TCS Student News. I hope you have a great weekend, and don't forget to drink your glass of orange juice.